What's happening, everybody? Oh my gosh, I did it. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to start the live stream without my hat on, and then I totally forgot my hat. Oh well, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the live stream. And someone's already texting me. We're not even 5 seconds in and someone's already blown up my phone. Never fails. Doesn't matter if I'm doing an actual YouTube video or if we're doing a live stream, someone's constantly blowing up my phone. But anyway, let's see here. We started out the night with Richard Vincent. How's it going? You're right, the weather has been phenomenally better. Brandon Culpepper, as always, my man. How are you doing? We got Andrew in the house. How's it going? Good to see you guys. Ryan Garrett shortly behind. And I do appreciate the live chat, top chat. Now, I do have to inform you, I'm always pointing the opposite because my image is mirrored. In fact, I should probably change that, but I always forget to. Hang on, we're gonna do it right now. Let's see here. We're gonna go here and we're gonna go here. Can we flip? No, never mind. I thought I could do it really easy. I can go upside down. Oh no, I'm not gonna do that. Anyway. Oh, now I froze it. I broke it, guys. I have officially broke the system. Oh no, I shouldn't have played with it at all. Okay, here we go. We're back. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, enough with all the camera stuff. Whatever. Where I was going is over here in the lovely comments section. It always says top chat. I actually do change that to live chat. So yeah, I don't know what just happened with the video there. I shouldn't have fooled with it. I shouldn't have fooled with it while I was live. Damn it, man. Anyway, I am in live chat. Thank you, Ryan. I do appreciate it. We got Ben Yates. Good to see you, man. It has been a while. It's been a while, Ben. So I'm glad to have you back. Good to see you. Bobby Rabaglia. Ooh, fook yeah, baby. Welcome back. Absolutely. Welcome back. Ryan, that didn't show up on my screen. Brandon, weird. Yes, I have live chat on. It's okay. Forgive you. Blah, 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 blah. Jay, what's happening? Welcome back to the live stream. Happy Sunday, everybody. Last day of the weekend. And then we get to do it all over again tomorrow. Woohoo. So, Brandon. Yeah, Brandon is still up in the Great White North getting snowed on. We got about 1.5 inches, 2 inches the other night. And then today it was 46 degrees. Everything melted off. We're supposed to touch 60 later this week. I'm not gonna lie, I'm more than a little bit excited. I'm very excited because I'm gonna be able to walk outside in short sleeves and not be freezing my ass off. So anyway, very excited about that. Before I forget, as always, I need to plug the podcast because it's awesome. I'm telling you guys, it's awesome. And the feedback we are consistently getting is that it's awesome. So if you don't listen to Sweat and Grime, go to Spotify. Go to iTunes, go to any podcast platform that you can imagine and type in Sweat and Grime. And there you will be transported into a magical place where we talk to Brandon Culpepper from the comments. Yes, the one and only Brandon Culpepper from the comments. And we talk about his fishnet and his pink thong and all of those exciting things. We also talk about a lot more interesting things, but I figured you guys can relate to Brandon because everybody knows him. But seriously, Sweat and Grime, it's awesome. We have doubled our listenership every month consistently. We are on track to double it again. I can't believe it, but yes, we are on track to double it again. And Ryan, I just happened to glance down and see your comment about cutting edge engineering. I'm going to be honest, I have not had any flipping time to reach out to the guys over there at Cutting Edge because this has been a crazy week. So we're finally in the part of the season where my schedule starts to ramp back up. So the weather's finally breaking. As you guys know, I'm in contact with a lot of you guys as contractors, and I like to travel around and work with you. Well, I've already got some trips scheduled. So I'm doing a Sweat and Grime, let's go find a sponsor trip starting next Monday. I'll be out of town for 2 days for that. Then I immediately drive down to, I can't even remember the name of the town. Somewhere like 3 hours south of Chicago in Illinois, where Hudig is located. And just for grins and giggles, hang on just a second here. Stick with me. I'm going to show you guys this freaking awesome machine that I'm going to go play on. And then Rick and I eventually are going to get one here in town and take it for its paces. It's flipping awesome. Like, that's all I can say about it. It is flipping awesome. So let me flip over to my browser here, to the web browser. I know you. Oh, it did actually work. Check that out. So we're gonna extend this baby over here. We're gonna whoop. Oh, nope, nope, nope. There it is. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. This baby right here is what we're gonna be playing on. It is totally European and totally amazing. Yeah, look at that thing. So it's got an integrated man lift. If you get the man lift package, look at the seat. Oh, the seat, my lord. Like, that screams European, doesn't it? It's beautiful. The controls, you're talking like fingertip sensitivity. It's so, oh, it's glorious. You're gonna notice you got these little toggles on the side of each of your joysticks. Tilt rotator controls, baby. It's all done with just little baby thumb movements. That's all it takes. Everything is at your fingertips. You can turn the seat totally sideways, and I can look out the front of the machine, and I can run from my joysticks. I can drive down the road. I can move my boom, and then I push one little button here, and now I'm looking out the back of my machine, and I'm moving all of the backhoe controls on the back of my machine. I don't have to move my hands. Oh, and it gets better. If I want to do something outside because I can't see, or it would just be easier, there is a Bluetooth remote that actually allows you to operate the entire machine outside the cab. Bad ass. Absolutely badass. So this is what I'm gonna go play on. Look at that thing. It's just a freaking tank, man. It's a tank. You can put a boom mower on it, a flail mower, you can do whatever. This is really a municipal and railroad machine. I mean, in all honesty, that's who they market these to, but it's freaking awesome, and I'm going to play in one. So that's where I'm going to be next week, and then trying to get a sponsor for Sweat Grime. So that's next week. Then from there, I fly out to Texas to go see family for a week. I'm back in town for a week or two, and then I immediately go back out because I'm going back to Ohio to work with Merrick Miller. I don't know if he's in here yet, but you'll see M. Miller pop up here later. And I'm going to work with Merrick and his boss, Wayne, which you may remember from the vlog videos that just posted like 2 weeks ago. Going back down there, we're working on a tunnel project, which is going to be super awesome. It's a really high-end house. They are linking their house to their barn with a tunnel. It's going to have a 2-lane bowling alley off of one side. It's going to have a home theater off of one side. It's going to have a storage room that's massive, and it's going to have a wine cellar, all coming off of this tunnel. That's what we're working on building. It's going to be badass. So anyway, things are starting to get busy, and all that to say, I did not reach out to the guy at Cutting Edge Engineering because my plate has been full getting all of my media content pushed out to beyond the kind of 3 or 4 weeks that I'm going to be kind of in and out of town. So Anyway, let's see here. Cold and snowy. This isn't helping my start date for work. I hear you on that. It is going to postpone work a little bit, but we're on the home stretch. Like, we're almost done. Almost out of it. I'm getting a drink. I'm sorry. Martini tonight, guys. My wife made me a lovely martini with these 2 green testicles in it. It's delicious. Good old nut juice. Right, Brandon? Brandon knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, Ben, so I got in a heavy equipment apprenticeship. Congratulations. If I had my clapping sound effect, I would totally play it for you right now. That's awesome, Ben. Super, super excited for you that you got into the apprenticeship program. If you need anything answered from a question standpoint, you need any advice or help, feel free to reach out. Absolutely reach out. Fluke Entertainment, never going to be first. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. If you want to be first, you need to pop in here like 7:15, and then you need to put that comment out there knowing that no one's going to be here to respond. That's how Richard Vincent always does it. If it's not Richard, generally it's going to be Brandon or Ryan. You know, that's who you're competing with. Try harder, my friend. Try harder. Anyway, yes, Brandon called it. I did fail. Shane, what's happening, man? Good to see you. And it's good to see you putting out like regular content. Like, you're rocking and rolling again, Shane. I'm really glad to see that. Matt with Dig Nation 21, which, by the way, everybody in the comments here, go check out Lever Monkey's channel and go check out Dig Nation 21. That's Shane and Matt respectively. Super good guys. Both of them have actually been on the live stream before. Go check out their channels. They got really good content. So that was me that texted me. Oh, so that was Matt texting. Well, I will check my text then, Matt. Let's see what you got here. Trying to chat in your live, but it's not giving me an option. Well, it looks like you're chatting now. What's going on here? What is going on? I don't know. Anyway, as long as you're here, Matt, as long as you're here. And I do have tech geek skills. I'm upstairs learning Linux because that's what kind of a nerd I am. I learn Linux in my free time so that I can become more of a tech nerd. Delicious. Let's see here. Don't mess with stuff that isn't broke. I know, Brandon. I know. I shouldn't have messed with it. I learned my lesson. We're back to being live. Everything's working well. Dozer Dennis, another great channel to check out if you haven't seen it already. My friend Dozer Dennis there. What's happening, my man? Good to see you guys. Dirty Dan, what's going on? It's been a while. I like seeing the older faces that I haven't seen in a bit. This is making me excited that the work season's firing back up and we're starting to get some familiar faces back in here. Weather looks good this coming week, other than some rain. Hoping to start next week. Yeah. You guys are similar to us, as we always talk about, Ryan. And I think we're supposed to have pretty stinking good weather for at least the next like week and a half. So yeah, very excited for that. Efix, good to see you. Very good to see you, sir. Just got my hour statement from last year. Almost 2,200 hours worked. Holy crap. That is a shitload of hours you've been working, Shane. Yeah. Dude, Ryan, by all means, message him. You want to become my booking agent? I'd absolutely give you a little spiff to become my booking agent. You would not believe the amount of time it takes between Sweat and Grime, our new podcast that's launching, which you guys are absolutely, I don't want to discourage you. You're more than welcome to listen to it. It's going to launch on the 21st, but it's really geared towards dealerships, and I don't think any of you guys are going to find it really all that interesting. But that being said, between booking for the Dealer Lowdown, which is the new one, Sweat and Grime, The Dirt, which if you guys aren't familiar, I host another YouTube show called The Dirt that I have to schedule guests for. And then if I'm going to do anything for the live stream here, like booking guests takes up a phenomenal amount of time in emails back and forth and like checking schedules and setting it up and making sure everyone understands how they are supposed to patch into whichever platform I'm getting them on. Like, it is a phenomenal amount of work. So Ryan, by all means, reach out to him, see if he's interested, hook me up with that sweet contact information, and we'll rock this thing, baby. We will make it happen. Landmark Property Solutions, which is is it Ryan? It's Ryan, isn't it? It's Ryan. Brandon, what's your opinion on the Doosan Dozer? I don't have one, and I'm not going to try to formulate one. That's the God honest truth. So I did interview Doosan for The Dirt 2 weeks ago, and we had a really good conversation. My initial thoughts are it's heavier than its competitors, and it's got a little more horsepower than its competitors, which tells me, in theory, I should be able to put this thing up against a D3 and it's going to outpush the D3. I don't know if that's true or not, but in theory, that's what should happen. Now, after our conversation for the interview, I did tell them that we are getting into reviewing equipment, and they're actively looking for someone to do an independent review of this dozer. So there's a decent chance sometime within the next like 4 to 5 months, I may get my hands on one of the new DD100s, because that's the model number, the DD100. And then next year, I think they come out with the DD120 or 130. I can't remember. This is the equivalent to the D3. Next year's dozer is going to be the equivalent to like a D5, roughly. But there's a good chance I'll have one of those in my possession to play around with and have a good time with. Another cool thing, I got my hands on the Case TV620B. If you guys aren't familiar with that monster, it's the biggest production skid steer out on the market right now that just got released by Case. We have one here in Michigan in Novi, which is about a half hour from here. I went and played around in it, and I will tell you guys, I didn't get to do a full machine review by any means, but in the half hour I was out playing around in the yard with it, I am super impressed with that machine. Dude, it is a tank. I threw about 5 to 6 yards worth of millings out in the middle of the lot, went up to it, didn't carry any speed, just went right into the pile and started pushing. I was able to push that thing. I had millings spilling over the boom arms. I had millings piling up against the door because I was literally pushing the entire pile forward. Very, very impressive performance from that machine in the little amount of time I got to play in it. So I'm very excited to eventually get my hands on one of those and play with them as well. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, Ryan, accurate. That is the first time I've really been excited about a backhoe, is this thing. And it's because it's more like a loader. I don't know if you guys noticed from the pictures, it articulates in the middle like a loader. It doesn't maneuver like a backhoe, and it's freaking awesome. It's about the size of a Case 621 loader, so it's not even sized like a backhoe. It is a monstrous machine. It's awesome. Andrew, don't go to Ohio. That place is gross. I 100% agree with you. Until you go south enough that you start getting around the Cambridge area. From about Cambridge and south, it doesn't even feel like you're in Ohio. It's beautiful. It is stunningly beautiful. So I agree, but disagree slightly. And then we got Merrick. Here's the Merrick I was telling you guys about. We have M. Miller himself in the house. This is who, oh my goodness, oof. Excuse me, my martini's kicking in already. We got Merrick in the house. That's who I'm going to work with here at the end of April, doing that tunnel project. It's going to be a great time. And he is out here defending the great state of Ohio. I'm not going to jump in there and defend it with him, but I will say Cambridge and South is quite beautiful. Heavy equipment operator 97. What is happening? You are Ryan. God dang it. I do this every freaking week. You're Ryan. You've got to be Ryan. Son of a biscuit. Connor, what's going on? It's good to see you, my brother. Something went haywire. I don't know what went haywire, Matt, unless it was back when I was playing with my camera. That could have been it. I think we're all good. Andrew, I have never played American Truck Simulator. The nerd in me has been tempted. And don't get me wrong, like very tempted, because as we've talked about on here before, I've played Farming Simulator, got into that. But currently, we just finished up a good round of playing Satisfactory, if you're familiar with that. I am currently playing City Skylines, and I'm having a good time with that. I've downloaded a bunch of different mods so that I can really dial in and tweak my city. They've got a new airport, like whole airport downloadable content section that is freaking awesome. So you actually get to build an airport instead of having a pre-built plop one down. I'm having a good time with Skylines, but I have not played Trucking Simulator. We're getting into the season where my allergies are kicking in too. It's another great part of this year. Dan McGivern, cannot wait to see the tunnel project. Would love to do the same thing by connecting my house to my building. It's going to be awesome. So from what I understand, the tunnel is going to, we're basically going to dig it out like you would a basement. It's going to be superior walls that are actually creating the tunnel and the rooms. And then they will do a pour in place slab over top of the whole thing, bury it all over. There it is. So I'm curious to see how it all comes together. It's going to be a fun project. Regardless of whether or not it works, it's going to be a fun project. It's going to be a good time. Let's see here, Dennis. Hopefully we get to try out the post pounder we built next week. Can't wait. Oh, the post pounder. I know what he's talking about. Yeah, Dennis, they did a home built post pounder, and I think you should absolutely take some video of that, Dennis, and post it up. Let's see it. That's going to be a fun little project. Yeah. I used to play the Euro Truck. Okay, they're going back and forth about Euro Truck Driver. Yeah, Shane's a computer nerd too. Like, he's all about this. He's into flight simulators too, which I'm a huge fan of flight simulators, but that was back in the day when I had lots of time to throw at simulators. I don't have that time now because I have children and I have all of these business things that I'm doing. Unfortunately, I don't get to play the simulators anymore. Andrew, I want to play it. Shane, don't have a computer. That's the problem with some of these new games, man. You got to have a beefy freaking computer, which is why my editing computer works so well, because I got to have a beefy computer to do all of my editing software. So It works out that it runs computer games too. I know what's up. Oh, Dennis wants me to send him the Doosan. I tell you what, Dennis, I'm gonna raise the bar even yet. Why don't I coordinate with you when we're gonna get the Doosan? And why don't you come see me and stay with me for a couple days, and we'll all play on the Doosan. I already got a spot picked out. We got a farmer buddy that's gonna let us take it out there and do whatever we want with it. It's gonna be a good time. And we'll get you, I'll bring Isaac out, my videographer, Dennis. We're gonna get you like prime time, like you're gonna look like a rock star. We're gonna do the slow motion, like have you like throw the door open to the building as you walk out to the Dozer. We'll get you a nice low shot looking up at you as you slow motion like walk, boom, boom. And it's Dozer Dennis, boom. We'll have the words slam down and dust fly everywhere. And then we'll get footage you running the Dozer. I've already got the video put together in my head, Dennis. Come see me. We'll make it happen. 100%. Andrew, Doosan Dozer sounds disgusting. Don't even need to run it. Okay, so this is where I hear you. I do, Andrew. And I don't judge you for having that opinion, but one of my goals is to stay independent and unbiased. And that's why I don't really say, I don't have anything to say, because I am going to go into this open-minded. My goal is not to go into it and try to prove something's better. My goal is let's take it out and see how it actually runs and performs, which is why Dennis, if you can come out here, my man, having a third opinion, because right now it's going to be me and Rick running it. Having a third opinion will be fantastic. So yeah, we're going to put it through its paces, and I'll give you an honest opinion. That's the other thing too, is I have told all of these manufacturers that we're doing this, like, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, and if this thing falls on its ass, I'm absolutely gonna talk about the fact that it falls on its ass. So take it with a grain of salt. Like, know what you're signing up for. Connor wasn't here last week, but did you hear about the labor at Dan's? I did not hear about the labor at Dan's. What happened there? Fill me in on that. I hope it was, and who was it, if you do have any names. Dirty Dan, so somewhat recent development, kind of funny. Was out west for a while in a coal mine, still with TMG, but transfer opportunity came up, and now I'm in the same pit as Dan's excavating in Rockwood. Where's Rockwood at, Dirty Dan? Where is Rockwood? I don't even know where that is. Is that in Michigan? Is it Rockwood, Michigan? It's got to be in Michigan, because I think Dan's is only in Michigan. Oh, I can't remember if they have a division in Florida or not. I think they're mostly just here in Michigan. But yeah, if that's the case, oh, where is that? Where am I on the map? South of Detroit. Oh, down by Monroe. Okay. Well, dude, you're right down the road then, man. We should have dinner sometime. Let me know. Heavy equipment operator. Okay, that was Ryan. That's right. Scum is a good game if you like survival games. I've never even heard of Scum. I'll have to do some homework on that one. What's the difference between the Case skid steers and the New Holland skid steers? Dan, paint. That's it. They're made in the same factory. They go down the same line. It is literally a difference in paint. That's it. And which dealer's going to service it. So obviously you can take it to a Case dealership and they're capable of servicing it, but generally the New Holland stuff is carried by ag dealers. So, you know, anyway. Let's see here. God Family Country, which is Tom. Yes, Tom says hi. What's going on, Tom? Good to see you, my man. It's been a while too. I haven't heard from you for a while, and then you popped up with a comment on one of my videos. What was it, yesterday? And here you are in the live stream again. Good to see you again, Tom. Dennis, come out, man. I'm serious. If you really, I will absolutely coordinate with you and let you know when that Dozer's gonna land, and I will hook you up. We'll have a place for you to stay in my dark, damp basement, right next door to my studio here. It's not as terrible as it sounds. Brandon, come on out, man. I don't have another bedroom, so you're gonna have to bunk up with Dennis. Which of the two of you? I think Dennis is the one that might actually have a problem with that. I think Brandon's gonna be totally comfortable. I'm gonna call it right now. Brandon sleeps in the nude. I'm confident in that. I'm 100% confident that Brandon sleeps in the nude. So Dennis, I don't know, man, we've got some decent hotels, $100 a night. I think it would be worth it. $100 not to feel Brandon curl up against you in the middle of the night. It's worth it. Yeah, the more I think about it, I think the hotel's the way to go. Anyway, Corey, love watching your videos. Started as a laborer, then moved up to pipe layer, then to operator, but just realized the operating isn't for me, and I love being in the ditch. Dude, that's awesome to hear. Like, in all honesty, I have so much respect for laborers who choose laboring as the career path. Like, it's not a step to become an operator. There are legit guys that just love being in the, like you said, being in the ditch, having that shovel in their hand, being down there in the pipe, you know, with the pipe, and doing all of the actual physical labor. Dude, more power to you. That's awesome. Obviously, reach out if you want any tips on operating to kind of just improve what you got going. But dude, that's awesome, and I totally respect the fact that you like being in the ditch. That's great. Shane, DCS is about to release the AH-64D. Oh, Shane, dude, I'm telling you right now, you can't do that to me, man. Like, you can't tempt me with something as fun and yet totally, completely in life involving as running a freaking Apache simulator. Like, I can't do it, Shane. As much as I would love to, that would just be endless hour. I remember when I used to play the DCS, oh, help me out. What was it? It was the F-16 simulator, Fighting Falcon. What was it called? You'll hit me in the comments. You'll remind me. But anyway, like, we would legit sit down, and from the time we were briefing the mission to the time we actually flew the sortie to the time we came back and debriefed, like, you're 4 hours deep. I only wish I still had that much time to dedicate to playing a simulator, because it was fun as crap. If you guys aren't familiar, DCS is Digital Combat Simulator. They put out hyper realistic simulators. Their first one was flying an F-16. A bunch of guys in the community got together and made an F-18 package for it, and then they came out with, or no, I take that back. DCS was the old Warthog, wasn't it? I'm getting them confused. It was the A-10 Warthog. And I used to, yeah, and then what did they come out with? They came out with the SU, what is it, 27 or whatever helicopter, and then now they've come out with now they're coming out with the Apache, and like, it's freaking awesome. But it is legit. It's a simulator. You will spend 100 hours learning how to run this thing, learning how to fly the whether it's the, you know, A-10 or whether you're doing the Apache or whatever. You're gonna spend 100 hours easy just learning how to do it, and then you're gonna fly your first sortie after all of this time, and you're gonna die because you still realize you know nothing about combat simulation. You don't know how to actually fly this thing in combat. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, we're in a nerd out. I'm sorry, we've gone full nerd out, and I apologize if we're losing people, but I nerd out on this stuff. It's a blast. So anyway, Colton's Farm, what's happening, man? It has been a few weeks. Things are going good in Michigan. We had, let's see here, 4 or 5 days ago, we got about 4 inches of snow when we were only supposed to get 1. Today, this morning, we were supposed to get 1 to 2. We ended up getting like a 1/4 inch, and then it warmed up to 46, and now all of our snow has melted off, but we're supposed to touch 60 this week, so I'm very excited. It's very good, very good. Connor, well, it's horrible all around, but a guy got run over by a dozer. Oh, that's no good. I gotta look that up. Dan's excavating accident. On I-94 in Jackson, 1 man is dead after a construction accident. 35-year-old man was run over by a dozer and was declared dead on. Man, that's too bad. That's too bad. Give me just a second, guys. Bear with me. I really want to find a name to see if I knew him. That's too bad. I guarantee you it was a grade checker, and he went and he was spraying for the dozer operator, and the dozer operator was just 3rd gear reverse and went right over top of him. Randy Elliott. Let's see here. Sorry guys, bear with me. Let me research this for a minute. I can't remember. That was a terrible picture they used in the obituary. I don't know if I knew this guy or not. That's too bad. That's really, really sad. That's really, really sad. Yeah, so, you know, we were in a vein, but I do want to take a second to get serious here. Like, we're starting up a new season. Now's a great time to actually talk about it. Be careful. Don't ever let your guard down on a job site. I guarantee you the situation I just laid out is exactly what happened. I guarantee you this guy was probably a grade checker. He was going out and he was checking grade for the dozer operator while they were scooting along. Either that or he was rolling out fabric while the guy was grading out stone. Regardless, the guy in the dozer probably was just, as we often do in equipment, we take it for granted that everyone around us is paying attention because we're in this giant bulky machine and we have a big old loud backup beeper, and he probably didn't even look behind him, threw it in reverse right as this guy was crossing behind him and just went right over top of him. It was probably yeah, that's really, really too bad. That's really sad, really sad. So anyway, as we go into the next season, guys, be careful. Always pay attention. Even if there's no one, even if you think there's no one around, check behind you. If you're on the ground, if you're not in a machine, freaking keep your head on a swivel. Things like this happen in a heartbeat. It doesn't take any time for something like that to happen. That's really, really, really sad. Anyway, off of the depressing topic, let's get back to it. I'll bring the dozer dog. Absolutely bring the dozer dog, Dennis. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're more than welcome to bring the camper out. So I don't have the greatest spot in my driveway that you can set up shop. But we can make it work. We can absolutely make it work. I take that back. I can set you up in my driveway. We're gonna make it work, Dennis. I'm gonna stay in touch, man. As soon as I get some dates, I'll absolutely reach out to you. Let's see here. Colts Farms, do you think a Caterpillar 336 is better than a 349? I don't know. I mean, in what way? It's I don't know. In what context? Because the 336 has the advantage of having a little bit smaller footprint, but it's still a good size hose, so you can get it in some tighter spots where you need the reach and you need the oomph. It's a powerful machine. But man, those 349s are like, they're tanks. They're pretty beefy machines. And so I would always prefer to have I mean, we're guys, right? Bigger is always better. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Bigger's better. eFix, wait. You're a DCS guy? I watch a lot of Growling Sidewinder. Guys, content is great. I have not watched his content. I don't typically watch that content anymore because it's one of those black holes that I will get sucked into. So for a long time, I played Eve. Just so you guys know, that's the level of nerd I am, is I played Eve online. And Eve is another black hole. When it comes to combat sims and it comes to Eve, I don't even watch content online because it's too easy for me to get sucked into the wormhole where I'm like, well, I'll download it and just play for like a half hour or 45 minutes here and there. It won't hurt anyone. It's, you know, just a little fix, you know. It's not gonna hurt anyone. It's not gonna affect my home life, you know. And that's what happens. So I don't even watch it. Did you see Hitachi wheel loaders? I did not see Hitachi wheel loaders. Falcon series, thank you, Shane. Yes, I don't know why I struggled with that because I even said Fighting Falcon in it. I just love the fact that the Foo Fighters was playing when you logged into it. That was the freaking greatest load screen ever. But I think if I remember right, the Foo Fighters was a mod, right? Or maybe it was an add-on package, I can't remember, but it wasn't part of the base game. You would load in, I think it was a download it might have even been like a community generated download package but the menu theme song that was playing was Foo Fighters. Oh, what song is it? Now that's gonna drive me nuts. What was it? Ever son of Everlong. That's right. Freaking awesome. I loved it. Every time I logged in, I was like, oh god, it's so good. Anyway, Dirty Dan, dinner date? Absolutely, I'm down. I can send you some sexy deal. Dirty Dan. So you're gonna wine and dine me and send me D11 videos? Yeah, I'll treat you. Yeah, let's go to in all honesty though, Dan, if you want to go to dinner sometime, absolutely, let's set it up here in the next like 3 or 4 weeks. I travel a fair amount in the next couple of weeks, so fair warning, it might be, you know, 3 or 4 weeks out, but I'd absolutely meet and do dinner with you. Andrew, what are you drinking tonight? So this is a gin martini that my wife made for me. It has 2 olives that are jalapeno stuffed, so it's got a little bit of spice and pizzazz to it. It's actually very delicious. I love stuffed olives. I don't like olives by themselves, but you start stuffing things in them and they get quite tasty. Almond stuffed olives are great. Jalapeno stuffed olives are great. And my favorite are garlic stuffed olives, where they actually take a clove of garlic and stuff it down in there. Oh my gosh, it is incredible. Jalapenos are good too. Really good. 30 days with no alcohol. I'm sorry. Like, I should have read the rest of that comment before I talked about how this is terrible, Andrew. I'm suffering through every bit of it. It's awful. I'm just gonna have to try to choke it down. It's not good. I'm sorry. I lied about everything. I take it all back. But legit, good for you, Andrew. And in all honesty, if this tempts you, let me know. I will cut the drinks out. I will stand with you, united. That means I'm gonna drink off camera, is really what that means. But by God, I will stand united with you. Okay, now that I was able to choke down that terrible olive, god awful alcohol soaked olive, it was bad. So Dan, doing a bunch of overburden removal. That sounds like a really good time, and those are the sort of jobs that I get really jealous that I'm not still on the big dirt jobs for, because I legit love running the big iron and just stripping overburden. Like hogging material, it's freaking fun. Love it. Jackson, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. How cool is it that I got to meet Dragon Force and get pictures with them? I have never listened to Dragon Force, so for everyone in the comments, Jackson informed me earlier this week he got to go see Dragon Force, which is a heavy metal band. He went to see them in person, actually got pictures with them. Just a second here, and I will show you the picture of Jackson with Dragon Force, which was pretty freaking sweet. And he sent those over to me earlier this week. Very badass. But no, I have never listened to Dragon Force before. So here is Jackson with Dragon Force, guys. Pretty awesome. Jackson's the one throwing up the dueling metal fingers there. So that is very awesome. Very cool. Let's see here. Cold's Farms, 336, 349. It depends on exactly what Shane said. It really just depends on what you're going to use the machine for. Oh my gosh, Brandon, it's the middle of a live stream. This is the sort of listener. Somehow I've gathered all of these listeners that think it's hilarious to just interrupt me all the time. Like, we've got, my goodness, Brandon, come on. Okay, I'll play into it, Brandon. Say your piece.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
What are you wearing?
Shorts and a t-shirt, actually.
Oh, well, we're doing better than I was originally anticipating, so.
I can't always wear.
Yes. Well, you know, this is not right. Okay, I'm in the middle of a live stream. I have to go. Okay, see ya. I don't have words. I don't have words. These are the sort of people that gather around me as people like Brandon. And I love Brandon, I do. But then you have to deal with people like Brandon. And it's all right. We push through, we persevere. We will make this live stream continue, even if Brandon interrupts. In fact, I will say we're legit gonna put this on silent. Brandon. Anyways, back to the live stream. Oh, leave phone at home. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Lover Monkey, I have a similar story from a girl that ran a 623 scraper finishing house pads. That's too bad. Brian just messaged Cutting Edge Engineering. Hopefully, I agree, Ryan. Hopefully one of us hears. I will try to reach out to him at some point here. I just legit have not had time. And in all honesty, with Sweat and Grime, we're probably 4 weeks deep in guests right now. So it's not really been to, like, I'd feel bad rushing this guy to get him on and then be like, okay, well, we'll talk to you in like a month. Sorry. So anyway, Jackson, how did he get my phone number? The same way you got my phone number. He did the podcast. And so he called my line directly and he saved it away for a rainy day that he now collected on. And that's life. I have a question about the new Dozers, Deer and Cat Dozers. All new Dozers use urea, or can you buy a new Deer K series with D1, D2s without needing urea? So it's not that good question, by the way, Jonathan. So with any machines, this is totally across the board, whether you're talking skid steers, minis, dozers, loaders, excavators, any diesel engine, including trucks. The way the emissions after treatment works is the manufacturer builds the machine and they use a certain engine. And then they know they have to get their emission standards down to a certain amount of nitrous oxide emissions and diesel particulate emissions and all that stuff. And so what they do is they start slapping together things that will allow them to get down. And so a lot of manufacturers, as we all know, DPF filters are the devil. No one wants them. Manufacturers realize that this is the worst solution out of all the solutions. So everyone tries to avoid it. So ultimately, to answer your question is, you don't have an option as to what after treatment package you put on the machine. That is determined by the manufacturer, and it is totally dependent upon how dirty their machine runs and what they have to do to clean up the after treatment. So that's why you do, like, Deere is particularly bad. I don't know if I haven't looked into any of the specs on their new machines to tell you, but I know on their older machines, their engines were running so dirty they literally threw everything in the kitchen sink at it. So you'd have EGR, DPF, SCR with urea. You'd have a what is it, a DC? I can't remember. There's so many freaking acronyms. They literally put everything on it so that they could get those emissions down. So unfortunately, we don't have a choice on the end user side of what emissions package we get. You're just stuck with whatever the manufacturer had to do to get their machine to pass emission standards. Let's see here. Oh, I totally missed your whole comment there, Jonathan, about missing more than 3 live streams. I have been good. Super, super busy. But I've been really good, and I appreciate you being here. I really do. Thanks, Jonathan. Let's see here. Ryan, you love us. I do love you guys, which is why I'm willing to answer the phone in the middle of a live stream, because I legit love you guys. I enjoy talking with y'all. Oh, let's see here. It's gonna have def if it's over 74 horse. It's, well, sort of. Yes and no. Some manufacturers are still choosing to go the DPF route, in which case you won't have urea, but you'll have to deal with the DPF and active regens, which sucks. So definitely urea is the way to go. And you are correct there, Andrew. The only way to get around def is to go older than 2011, or, and I don't recommend this because of all the issues associated with it. The other thing is you can do a delete, which requires a hardware component and a software component. So the hardware component is the fact that you actually hack your SCR out of the machine, you reroute some of the exhaust and hodgepodge it together, but then you have to absolutely have to do the software component. You have to know someone that has a computer that can hook into the machine, and you actually do an ECU flash with a software package that will allow it to bypass the SCR sensors. So it just totally ignores them. Because if you don't do that, your machine's going to go haywire and say, whoa, 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 the SCR is all goofed up, you got def issues, and it's going to throw it in limp mode. So delete is an option. It's out there. I don't recommend it, because the second you do that, you void any chance of a warranty. Most dealerships will not work on that machine if you've done an exhaust after treatment deletion. It creates a lot more headache than it's worth, in my opinion. So, you know, as always, there's always guys in the industry that are like, oh, I deleted my skid steer package like 5 years ago. I haven't had a single problem. Okay, well, that's great for you, but I will tell you, you're one of the only ones. You're a lucky one that happened. Most people have issues. They run into issues down the road. Oh, Jackson, he's not constantly harassing me. He thought we had talked about this weeks ago, that he told me he was going to call me and thought it was funny to call me in the middle of a live stream. It's good, Jackson. If it were really crossing boundaries, I absolutely would not have answered the phone. Holy smokes! Jim just donated $20 to the podcast or to the live stream. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. For those delicious olives. I do appreciate that, because those olives are spendy. Jim clearly is a man of refined taste and knows the expense of good olives. Jim, genuinely, I do appreciate the donation to the channel, sir. I really do. We're working on some big things, and that $20 will legit get put to good use. I didn't do the podcast, and I have a phone number. Yeah, you know what? Some people are better at boundaries, and Brandon's still exploring his boundaries. I'm helping him with that. It's all good. It's all good, everybody. It was just, we were having a good time. Everyone, untwist your panties, calm your tits, whatever the phrase is you need to hear. It's okay. It's okay. Brandon is a good guy. He is a good guy. And we enjoy poking fun at each other. That's all that was. We're all good. We're all good. Anyway, doing a housing track digging with a Kobelco 350, which is Shane's favorite machine, right, Shane? You love it so much. I'm just kidding. I love Kobelcos. Shane is kind of still on the fence, leaning more towards not. But anyway, 98 house pads. Holy crap, Shane. Dang. Dennis, don't know if you've seen it, but we place first in diesel, second in heavy equipment operation, and third in small engines. Skills USA, if you didn't know. That's awesome, Dennis. That's really awesome. Do you want to, in fact, I'm not even going to ask. Literally, plug your program. Put a plug out here for your program, because I think your program is one of the best programs in the country. It's awesome. Until it's 20 below and your def freezes. So, if you guys aren't familiar, that's a great point, Dan. But this is where the manufacturers were actually smart, and they thought about this. So down in your urea tank or your def tank, there's actually a heating coil. Or not necessarily a heating coil, it's more like the heating element in your car or in your skid. There is a small line that comes off of the engine that runs coolant through the def tank. Built into the software package of the machine, if the temperature's below, in fact, it may not even have to do with temperature the more I think about it. I think it's just a standard for the first 30 minutes of operation with any of these machines that require def. It doesn't actively take any def readings, excuse me, and it doesn't try to actively inject def during the first 30 minutes of operation. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. The martini, it's interrupting me a lot. Instead, what happens is it gives you a freebie 30 minutes, and then it uses that time to run coolant through there and thaw out the def, and then it starts injecting the def, and then after about 30 minutes, when you're ample warm, it starts taking readings, and then if there's actually an issue, it'll give you an issue. So that's how that works. That's how they're able to work around the freezing. Andrew ran a Volvo that would totally fall on its ass due to a freaking DPF regen. Oop, wait, my comments just scrolled up and I can't see. But still better than a cat. Volvo till I die. Ooh, yep, there you go. We got a Volvo fan in there. Yeah, the DPF the worst. It's the worst, guys. Everyone rags on DEF, but in all honesty, I can tell you confidently after working at a dealership, if you can get a machine with DEF and it doesn't have a DPF filter, go with the one that doesn't have the DPF filter. DPF filters are way more problematic than what you're going to deal with DEF and an SCR. Let's see here. How's the Cabelco running? Looking forward to the series. Me too. Landmark property, if you delete, make sure absolutely keep all the old parts. I'm taking this out. This is driving me nuts. It's absolutely driving me nuts, and I don't need to hear my own music. That's where we're at. There. Dude, that thing wears on you after a while. It's one thing if I'm doing a dirt episode and I only have to wear it for 15 minutes, but man, that gets old after a while. Shane, Brian, have you ever had two foremen on the job go at it in front of the crew? We just had a verbal fight that won't end well for Fortunately, I don't know that I've ever experienced two foremen outright going at it. There's been passive aggressive things for sure, but not outright going at it. And that shouldn't happen in front of the guys, because that puts you guys in a really uncomfortable spot. Does Jim have a diesel and iron hat like me? You know what? That's a great question. I don't know if Jim has a hat. But if any of you guys want a hat, you can head over to dieselandironproductions.com. In fact, I'm going to throw the link right here in the comments. www.dieselandironproductions. Oh, don't forget the S. dieselandironproductions.com. Head over there. The store is listed all over the place. You shouldn't miss it. I hope you don't miss it. If you do miss it, you probably should get your eyes checked and not be operating heavy equipment. But you should be able to hit that store and buy all the swag you need. I've got shirts, I've got hats, I've got hoodies. I think I've even got some yoga pants for guys like Brandon who wear that sort of thing around the house. So absolutely hit us up. Shane, about seeing the super get knocked out by a foreman on the railroad. Dude, it happens. Tensions run high on some of these jobs. Jonathan, I ask because a friend wants to buy a D5K with a ripper. Some tell him that urea have ruined their performance, so he's doubting a lot. Well, so here's the deal, Jonathan. It doesn't matter whether it's urea or a DPF or whatever it is. The second you slap an after treatment package on a machine, it neuters the machine. That's why you see all of the manufacturers across the board over the last 5 years have increased their engine horsepower for the same class machines, because they're making up for the loss from the after treatment system. So let's go to engine basics. I don't know if you know anything about engines. For the sake of everyone in here, we're just going to assume no one knows anything about engines. So super basic engine, right? You have air come in, you have the process, it's a four stroke engine, right? Man, no, I take that back. Yeah, no. I think these size diesel engines, they are 4-stroke. And so you go through the whole, the whole intake, compression, explosion, exhaust, right? And I know I totally botched those. I'm a shameful, I should hand in my man card for the way I just explained that. But I'm trying to keep it basic, guys. I'm trying to keep it basic. So you got your intake stroke, piston goes down, draws in air, right? And then you've got fuel that gets injected there too. Although diesels work a little different, fuel doesn't get injected quite yet. Then you have compression. Piston goes up, it compresses all that air. It gets really, really hot. It gets really, really high pressure, right? Then they inject the diesel, because diesel engines don't work off of spark plugs. They actually work off the compression of the motor. As soon as that fuel's injected and you reach the top of compression, boom, there's your power stroke, pushes the piston down. And then what happens is you have another stroke that pushes the exhaust out of the engine. Now in a perfect system, there's no resistance on the exhaust side, which means we're really not losing a whole lot of power from that exhaust stroke. Well, if you think about it, just think of like super dumb terms. Think about if I put my hand kind of loosely over the exhaust port. Well, now instead of the exhaust stroke just being able to push that wind right out, all the exhaust right out of the cylinder, now it's having to push. It's really having to, because I'm applying pressure with my hand, it's having to push the exhaust out, right? Which means now some of the power being generated by our other cylinders is being scavenged, it's being stolen by the fact that we have to push this exhaust out. That's what after treatment packages do. You've now created a lot of restriction. It used to be you just go through a muffler just to quiet it down a little bit, and then you go out your exhaust. Very, very little restriction. That exhaust stroke, it's able to push the exhaust right out of the engine. But now we've put a DPF in there. We've put an SCR in there. It's all of these things that the exhaust has to pass through. It adds a lot of restriction. Well, now the engine's having to work just to get the exhaust out of the engine. And that's why you see you have a performance decrease. Anytime you slap an emissions package on something, you see a performance decrease. The way the manufacturers get around that is you increase the horsepower. So it's kind of a net zero situation. We increased horsepower, but we're having to work harder. Boom. So there, your net horsepower is the same as it was on the old machine. So that's where your friend's coming from by saying that the new D5Ks have performance issues. Every machine going forward is going to suffer from the same performance stuff. But because they've increased horsepower, in theory, you shouldn't see the performance decrease on the engine. So, with that being said too, like I said, that has nothing to do with having a DPF over an SCR. It has nothing to do with urea over another after treatment package. The second you put an after treatment package on a machine, you have a restriction. You have a performance loss. Now, of the performance losses, the urea side is actually the easier one to deal with. You don't have as many issues as you do with a DPF. Why is that? Well, if you think about it, we spend a shitload of time in this industry with our machine running pretty close to idle. All of these after treatment systems require a lot of heat to work properly. DPF filters specifically require a crap load of heat. The way they work, if you're not familiar, diesel particulate, all of your exhaust flows through a DPF, which stands for a diesel particulate filter. The whole goal of a DPF is to literally act like an air filter for your furnace. It catches the big chunks of diesel soot and lets the rest of the exhaust pass through. And just like the air filter on your furnace, after enough time, that soot clogs up the DPF. Well, so you don't have to switch out your DPF every 100 hours or so. The manufacturers have a regen cycle built in. That is where you actually have a diesel injector. It is diesel fuel being injected right into this filter. And this is why regens require you running at 100% full load, super hot. You know, we got to generate heat. What it does is when you reach that temperature, it starts injecting diesel fuel directly into the filter, and it cooks the soot. It actually burns the soot off of the filter. It's a very, very hot process, and you can only do that so many times over the life of the DPF filter before you actually have to replace it. And guess what? On a skid steer, your DPF filter is probably $8,000 to $10,000. They're ridiculously expensive. Not to mention the fact that you have all of these components. You've got sensors, you've got injectors, you've got all of this stuff that is really, really hot, which is why DPF filters tend to be problematic. They have to have a lot more problems. Your sensors especially, you constantly have sensor issues with DPF filters. Versus urea, the way urea works is you have an SCR. It's if I remember right, don't quote me on this, it's selective catalyst reduction. And really what it's going for is it's knocking down your NOx emissions, your nitrous oxide. And so the way that works, it's more like a catalytic converter. Catalytic. Can I say that right? Catalytic converter? Yeah, anyway, you know what I'm saying. So it's got a catalyst in it. It's got something that as the air passes through it, it takes the nitrous oxide and it changes it chemically to something else. And the way that it does that is it takes urea and it injects it onto this catalyst, and the reaction of the exhaust passing over it with the catalyst, with the urea, changes the nitrous oxide into O2 or something. I can't remember what it is. Because you're not dealing with diesel particulate in the SCR, by definition, you're going to have fewer problems. It's not a filter. You're no longer taking something out of the exhaust physically. You're changing something, but you're not taking something out of the exhaust. The second thing is, this thing operates at normal temperature. It's just normal exhaust temperature. You don't have to have this thing cranked balls to the wall, generating Man, I want to say DPF filters run at like 1300 degrees when they're doing a regen. It's outrageous how hot those things run. Versus an SCR is going to run at your regular exhaust temperature, which means it's really a lot easier on all the components. Now, do you have sensor issues with your def tank sometimes? Absolutely. Do you have crystallization issues if you don't properly take care of your def containers and you actually take care of your def system on your machine? You don't make sure it's nice and clean. You rinse it off every once in a while so that you get all those def crystals off. Absolutely. But compared to a DPF, you have far fewer issues with an SCR with urea than you do with a DPF. So there you go. I know that was a really lengthy explanation, but I think for a lot of people in the industry, this is still a huge kind of mystery as to how this stuff works, and there's no real science to it in their mind. It's just this like, it's this magical canister that does things like cause problems. I think that's the way the majority of the industry still looks at DPFs and SCRs and all of this stuff. And in reality, once you start to understand it, it makes a lot more sense. And it also then makes a lot more sense on how you care for the machine, how you run the machine. Like, this all plays into it because now you're understanding what's happening. So go back to our DPF example. Now that we understand what a DPF does, it's removing particulate, right? It's taking a physical thing, soot, out of our exhaust. Well, think about it. When do diesel engines run the dirtiest? I'll give you a hint. Go back to a 349 before we had all the, or I'm sorry, a 345 excavator before we had all the emission stuff. When did you always see the giant soot cloud? It was when you were going from idle to full throttle, right? It's when the engine's dumping a bunch of exhaust in, but you're not running at full throttle, and so it's burning really dirty. Diesel engines burn pretty clean when they're running hot, full bore. But below that, they're running dirty, and you're generating a lot more soot. In particular, when you're sitting at idle or quarter throttle, half throttle even, you generate a lot more soot. Well, that's why everyone in the industry nowadays that understands these systems says, do not let your engine sit in idle. If you're not running the machine, let it cool down for a minute or so you're not going to burn your turbo up, and then shut it off. Even if you're going to sit for only 5 minutes, shut it off. Because what's happening is you're building a bunch of soot up in that DPF. And then if you only run full bore for a couple minutes and then you go back to idle, well, guess what? You didn't allow enough time for that DPF filter to do its regen cycle and actually burn all that soot off. So now you've, go back to our furnace filter. Now you got even more stuff piling up on your furnace filter. Oh, and then we run full bore for 10 minutes and it starts a regen cycle, but we only get maybe 2 minutes into the regen cycle. Oh, you got to power down, back to idle. Well, we're building more particulate up. And so what happens over time is that filter gets so clogged up, the engine does what's called a forced regen. It basically says, hey, jackass, I've been collecting all this soot. I'm totally caked full. I'm going to stop you from doing anything. I'm revving this booker up to full bore, and you're going to sit here and let me burn this soot off for 30 minutes. That's what a forced regen is. That's why you have to do forced regens. It's not magic. There's a reason. There's a logic behind the system in the machine's computer as to why it's making you do that forced regen. So again, super lengthy explanation, but I hope this kind of dispels some of the mystery behind how this stuff works and why at the end of the day, urea is way better than dealing with DPFs. Oh, let's see here. Oh, and Shane brings me disappointing news that he hates the Kobelco more every day. That's unfortunate because I love it. Now, I will say this, I have not full on run a Kobelco in working conditions consistently to know, like, legit what it's like on a job site. But everything I've done in the yard with them, I've absolutely loved them. So it's really disappointing, and it's really blown a hole in the pedestal that I've put Kobelco on, Shane. But do expound. Why are you disappointed in the Kobelco? Let me, and be brutally honest. I want this because it helps me. Jonathan. And 2, if nothing bad happens the next couple of months and everything goes well with me, I'm thinking about getting on a John Deere 450K. I'm going to tell you right now. I try to stay relatively unbiased. We all have our biases. John Deere is proud of their stuff. And between you and me, They make good equipment, but it's not enough to charge what they're charging for their equipment. It's not magical. You're paying for the fact that it has a deer symbol on the front of it. In my opinion, it is not worth the price that Deere charges for their equipment. That was consistent when I was selling equipment. It's been consistent on the job sites where I've had Deere equipment on the job sites. Like, don't get me wrong, it's decent equipment. It's nothing magic. It's nothing special to write home about. I've never gotten off of a Deere machine and been like, holy crap, this is the greatest machine I've ever run. It's not. I'm sorry. I've just never been overly impressed. For the prices that they charge, I've never been overly impressed with Deere equipment. Oh, Jim doesn't. Just Coors Light and an iPad. Should I get a hat? You know what, Jim? I'm going to tell you this. I don't judge you because you just gave us $20, and I'm grateful for that. But in the old wise words of Matthew McConaughey, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Ryan, at the orientation for my new company, the handbook had 2 pages on no yelling, no cussing, all that. Immediately after going over that, the HR guy just looked up and said it's construction, so disregard. You know, it's funny. I'm kind of torn on that. And in all honesty, I'm kind of torn because yes, 100% like sticking true to our roots of being in the trades, there should absolutely, we should be able to yell and cuss and swear and all that. Absolutely. The flip side of that is there is a legit culture change that needs to happen in the trades to where that's not the way we communicate. Like, that's not the primary way we correct someone on the job. There needs to be a balance there, and right now it's you chew someone's ass until they quit. It needs to swing back a little the other way to where we actually help people, especially if you're in an authority position. If you're a foreman or a superintendent, you should not be bitching and throwing people off the job site because they don't understand. If they're legit making screw ups and having things that, you know, that are stopping the job and they know better, oh yeah, absolutely, boot their ass off the job. But if it's a rookie that doesn't have any clue what he's doing, how is it helpful to chew his ass out until he quits? Like, come on. So, like I said, I'm torn on that. You know, are we ever going to go to a job site with no swearing and no yelling? No. And I would hate that. That would be... I came from the office world. I know what that is. There's a reason I left. I like using my swear words and yelling. I do. But it's got to be in the appropriate time, the appropriate context. So, Ryan, I worked for a company that I got in a lot of trouble for calling one of the hands the R word. I have to be careful because I'm, you know, slowly becoming a public figure, and I can't say that even though I've slipped up a handful of times on the podcast and said it. I'm not judging Andrew, but I can't say it. But yes, absolutely. That's one of those words you really gotta, we've all gotta dial back on using that word. Oh, that's good. We gotta finish it. I mean, it's terrible. I'm sorry, Andrew. It's bad. It's really not good. Oh God. Oh, it's so terrible. Anyway. Oh, he even referred to Big Daddy Wit. I love it. He's got to get that. I love that Andrew always has to get that jab in on Aaron. That makes me laugh every time. Sean, had a foreman start a fight with me as a foreman on a job in front of the crew. 2 crews didn't end well for him. I ended up with 2 crews for a little while. I mean, it's the trades, man. Shit happens. All right, everybody, dial back. Jackson's getting serious. What do we got? On the podcast, Brian was talking about how there are a lot of guys that commit suicide in the construction industry. So I agree with no yelling. And that's exactly, Jackson, playing into what I was kind of alluding to, that we do need to have a cultural change in the industry, because part of that high suicide rate is the fact that there's not coaching, there's not... I'm not here as your foreman or your superintendent as one of your allies. I'm here as the guy cracking the whip. And that's where I think that needs to shift. As a superintendent, as a foreman, you need to be the primary mentor on that job. You need to be the guy that's recognizing when someone's they're not struggling because they don't get it and they're an idiot. They're struggling because they haven't ever been in this position before and they need help. And that's your role as a leader to step up to that. And so I'm 100% with you, Jackson. That's kind of where I was kind of going with that is absolutely. We do need to have a culture change in this industry, and that's something that I'm going to continue to fight for the longevity of this channel and everything that I do. So, but to take yelling out of the job site completely, take swearing out of the job site completely, I mean, come on, we've got to be realistic here. If you're pissing me off, I'm going to tell you to fuck off. It is what it is. Right? Sometimes you just have those days where you gotta say how it is. Anyway, Ryan, yeah, apparently the CEO gets a little heated every now and then. That's construction. I'd be worried if they never yelled. Yeah, it's just part of the business. Jackson, if someone is cussing and yelling at an employee and that employee is going through something in his personal life, what if it pushes him over the edge and commits suicide? There's a balance. I'll continue to say there is a balance, and that's where really, as a superintendent, not even as a superintendent, I really put this at the foreman level. At the foreman level, you've got a small enough and an intimate enough crew most of the time that you know your guys. And, and I'll give a prime example. I know, Jackson, Brandon, Shane, let's see here, who else was it? Dennis. I've talked to a fair amount of you guys over the phone enough that I can gauge where you're at when I talk to you. Do I know you intimately that I really know when something's going on? No. But even through our phone conversations, if you guys are talking to me, I can tell when something's going on. And so at the foreman level, like with your crew being in person, spending the number of hours that you do, you know when something's going on. And that's where we kind of as an industry need to step up and really say, like, that's part of the job of being a superintendent or a foreman. That's part of taking on that authority figure is you've got to be able to read your guys, and you need to pay attention to that. That is equally as important as the job at hand. And if someone's going through a real rough patch, yeah, is it okay to still correct them? 100%. But at the same time, you pull them into the truck and you ask them what's going on, and you get down to what's going on in their life, and you say, look, dude, do you need a couple days off? Like, you're not going to get paid for it, but at the same time, you're not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to knock you for it. If you need to go take a couple days to deal with some personal stuff, go take a couple days to deal with some personal stuff. We need to have that sort of a relationship. And a lot of crews, don't get me wrong, a lot of crews do have that relationship. But I know there's a lot of crews that don't have that relationship. And the foreman is strictly looked at, and the superintendent is strictly looked at as the guy that cracks the whip. That's got to change. That's got to change. Let's see here. Sean, I think I like John Deere better than Cabelco myself. Oh, Sean, those are fighting words. Sean and Shane. Man, you might have to be shunned for a while. We'll have to put you in the timeout corner. That's terrible. Alex, I hate the time change. This time of year, so I hate any time change. It doesn't matter if we're in the fall or spring, it's miserable. Spring especially, sweet Jesus, it's terrible. I hate it. I don't know why we still have the effing daylight savings time. It's awful. Andrew, Jackson, I feel the suicide thing has nothing to do with the job site argument. It's when you're out of town for a month, can't see your family, stuck in a shithole town with no strip clubs. I think it's both. In all honesty, working local, you can absolutely struggle. This is a high stress environment. We've talked about it numerous times. I mean, take the guy that just ran the guy over with the dozer at Dan's. That's a local job. And he has to deal with the fact he just killed a guy. And it was totally an accident. Totally an accident. And in all honesty, there's a good chance, please take this as I say it, there's a good chance the laborer was not where he was supposed to be. Now, is that an excuse for not checking your rearview mirror before you back up? No, absolutely not. But most of the time, most guys on the job site know you're not supposed to get behind a dozer that's going back and forth all the time, right? We all know that. We all recognize that. And so there's some carelessness that takes place. Regardless of all of that, that dozer operator now has to deal with the fact that he killed a guy locally. He's not working remote. He's probably still got his family. That's a shitload of responsibility to have sitting on your shoulders for the rest of your life. So to an extent, Andrew, I do agree things definitely ramp up when you're out of town, away from family and everything. But there's a lot of stress locally too. And that's where the industry has to recognize this is just, it's a high stress environment. And people in this industry, we all love to have the facade of just being tanks and we've got the thickest skin and we're going to tell everybody to fuck off and you're not going to mess with me. You're not going to get me down. But reality is, behind closed doors, that's when the alcohol comes out, right? That's when we start diving into the darker parts of our personalities because no one's looking and we can let our guard down and we can show our true colors, because we're not allowed to show those true colors on the job because then people might call us pussies, right? So that's the kind of mentality where I feel like we do need to shift in the industry. It needs to be more acceptable to walk up to your foreman and say, look, I'm dealing with some shit and I'm gonna need a couple days off. And the foreman, instead of getting all bent out of shape about that, can look you in the eye and go, okay, go take a couple days and call me if you need me. That should be a legit conversation that can happen on any job site, and there should not be any shame or embarrassment associated with that conversation. But that's not where we're at as an industry. So anyway, does it squirt? John, I have no idea what that is even referring to. But regardless of context, I'm just going to outright say yes. Yes, it does. Because why not? TK just had a buddy at work kill himself in October. I was the last person to work with him, and I never would have guessed that he'd be the last time I'd seen him. That's it. I've talked about it on the dirt. I believe I've talked about it. Yes, I did. I did a video. It was the most depressing before Christmas video ever, and I apologize, but it is what it is. I did a video on this channel talking about the suicide rate. The suicide rate in the trades is 4 times the national average. Think about that. 4 times the national average. For every 1 person that kills themselves in the general public, 4 of us kill ourselves. Tell me that's not indicating a problem. Like, tell me how that's somehow explainable. So it is a problem. It is something in our work culture that needs to change. Shane, problem is all of our JD or John Deere equipment is aging out. Kobelco is outperforming it now. Oh, don't even act like it's now, Shane. Don't even act like it. It's outperforming it because Kobelco is a monster. Boom. Boom. Anyway, our foreman was a real asshole to us that same day. I don't know if that's what made him do it, but I'm sure it didn't help. Exactly. It's just, sometimes it's a straw that breaks the camel's back. Now we have everyone making perverted comments. Oh, sorry. Autofocus is on the hand, right? I should probably put my hands down. I don't know what to do with my hands, like Ricky Bobby. Anyway, suck, bang, blow. Suck, push, bang, blow. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. I knew I shouldn't have said anything about engines. I should have known it was going to go here. It's all right, though. We're all learning about engines tonight. Jackson. So the difference between a 4-stroke and a 2-stroke. So 4-stroke, you have 4 separate strokes. So the first is the intake. You go down, sucks in air, up, compression. Then you have your power stroke. And then you have your exhaust stroke, right? With a 2-stroke motor, you have your intake stroke. Generally, let me think about this. I always get this backwards and I have to mentally think through it. So your intake stroke is basically you take half of it out. That easy, right? Totally nailed it. So basically, intake stroke, you bring in your air, and then as the piston's going up, you actually have ports that are drilled. It doesn't have valves most of the time, and I could be wrong on that because it does have valves. Totally disregard that it has valves. But anyway, intake stroke, you're drawing air in, and generally you're going to be drawing some fuel in as well. Then you have that compression stroke that's going to compress it, but it's also kind of coupled with the power stroke. You know what? I don't know what I'm talking about. Go look it up. We have the internet for a reason. Just go look it up on the internet because I don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, you're combining things that are happening, and so Yeah, I don't remember how you combine those things exactly. And mentally on the fly while I'm in front of a camera and there's a live audience, I'm having a hard time working my mental math through that process. But basically you're combining those. Instead of having 4 independent strokes, you're combining the exhaust and compression, the intake and compression into one stroke, and then you're combining the power and the exhaust into one stroke as well. So basically at the bottom of the power stroke, so boom, you have the explosion, it pushes the piston all the way down. If you have a valve at the bottom of that, the valve will open. If you're on a smaller 2-stroke motor, it's generally a port that is just always there, and once the piston comes past that port, the exhaust is able to flow out. So it's a combined stroke. And the reason 2-stroke motors have more torque and they generally create more power is because you're not wasting cycles doing things like intake and exhaust. You eliminate those strokes, so you actually get more power in your strokes than you do with a 4-stroke motor. I know that was a miserable, painful, terrible explanation. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Anyway, Dozer Dennis, exactly. That is very, yeah. Dennis is all about the dirty stroke. The dirty stroke, absolutely. But yeah, like you just said, it's memorable. If you make a perverted game out of it, it's memorable and it's easy to remember. That's why we make the jokes that we do, is because it makes it easy to remember. Sean, how are you doing for help over there on the West Coast, Shane? East Coast can't find any help. 10 guys north of Boston like yesterday, just impossible. Give everyone a chance. Sean, everybody in the industry is that way. It doesn't matter where you're at, no one can find help. And that is one of the primary issues with the trades right now. And that's the thing too, is it's not just dirt. If you're a mechanic, if you're a pipe fitter, if you're a boiler maker, if you're a welder, if you're a truck driver, nobody can find help because everybody went to college and no one went into the trades. It is what it is. We're reaping what we sow as a country. Don't get me started on my soapbox. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox tonight. Sean, how much you paying? I'll pack my, oh, there you go. Andrew's ready to move. CTE Boches High School. Boches or Boses? I don't know. Ooh, you guys have been chatting. Boy, I'm getting mine. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting the comments to roll that way. Career, it's not a catalytic converter. It's Cadillac converter. I'm sorry. Oh, a Cadillac convertible. Sorry, Andrew. I did screw that up. My bad. Totally my bad. Hired 2 new excavator operators. One says he's a digger, so we stuck him on the loader. The guy we were using as a backfill guy running. Can imagine begging union to find me a job. Brian, our rule is during lunch, do the force regen and come back to a clean filter. That's actually a pretty solid rule. If you have to deal with the DPF filters, that's a really solid rule. Ryan, I'm not even in the union and I got hired straight into a union company. The job listings there have probably doubled over the last couple weeks. They don't have enough people applying for jobs because there's no one out there. Bacon, what's going on, man? Good to see you, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for the encouragement. I start turning compost in the WA270 tomorrow. Early to bed for me. Well, you enjoy the WA270 if it's one of the newer ones. I'm not the biggest fan of Komatsu's cab layouts in their loaders, but that new 270 layout, like, it's getting a little more digital. It's starting to feel a little more like a spaceship. Like, they're nice little loaders. I won't complain about the performance of the Komatsu loaders. From a performance standpoint, my only complaint was it didn't feel like they had enough counterweight. But my big issue was the cab layout on a Komatsu compared to a Cat or a Case. You have way more room in a Cat and a Case. That Komatsu with it's got those boxy angled windows. There's no spot for your lunch anywhere. They didn't really take into account operator space and comfort in those cabs. It was more about the practicality of it, which makes sense as what is Komatsu? Is that Korean? I don't remember what Komatsu is, or is it Japanese? If it's Japanese, it totally makes sense because they're all about efficiency. They're not about comfort. But that was my only complaint with the Komatsus. They're really good loaders. They really are. Sean, that's a good idea with the force regen at lunch. Yeah, absolutely. Start work Thursday. SDK. Hey, good to see you, SDK, by the way. I like how I went full on Dr. Seuss with the rhyming there. Start work Thursday at Weeks Marine, running a D8 right outside Nolans, rebuilding beaches eroded after hurricanes. Going to get paid to the beach. Dude, that's awesome, man. Like, legit, I'm jealous of getting to run a D8 on the beach. That sounds like a blast. That absolutely sounds like a blast. Ryan, yeah, the other guy in the orientation was in the union but applied for the job without going through the union, so the HR manager got a slap on the wrist for that. It's one of those things where they can sponsor you into the union and you can absolutely bypass the apprenticeship program, assuming you know your stuff and you know how to run a machine. And the industry needs that. I'm sorry, I know I'm gonna offend some union guys because, sweet Jesus, you should go through the apprenticeship. You shouldn't be able to bypass. I'm sorry. If you can run equipment, fuck your apprenticeship. All right? We need to get people into the workforce. It's not about playing by the rules. It's not about putting in your time. We are a dying industry because no one's joining this industry. And so if someone wants to join this industry and they know how to run a machine, put them to the front of the effing line. Now, if it's a green kid that has no idea, yes, put them through the apprenticeship 100%. If they know their stuff, give me a break with your tradition. Give me a break with your formal process. Put them to work. We need people working. We don't need people in training programs if they know how to run equipment. There it is. I said it. I know that's offensive to everyone in the union. My God. That's reality. Wake up to reality, guys. We've got to get this industry rolling again. We need people. Race Gandalf. I'm confident. I am 99.9% confident. I've never seen you in here. Thanks for coming into the live stream. After I graduate high school, I want to get into excavating and work on bigger projects with bigger machines and potentially travel. Would joining the union allow me to do that? I also want to operate different machines. Both union and non-union will allow you to do that. Are you going to make better wages in the union? Absolutely. But you don't have to get into the union to do that. You can absolutely, there are companies all over the place that are non-union that will allow you to get into the big iron. Now, that being said, just understand where you're at. No one's going to take you and put you in a $750,000 D8 or D9. It's just not going to happen if you don't have experience. You need experience. The way you get experience is by working your way up from the bottom. So from high school, you're going to go and you're going to apply and you're going to become a laborer. If you go the union route, you'll get into the apprenticeship and you'll get seat time, but you're going to be in a roller, or you're going to be in an off-road truck, or you're going to be in a little mini excavator, a skid steer. No one's going to start you in their $750,000 to $1 million machine. Now, 3 to 5 years from your start in the industry, if you develop the skills that you need, you can absolutely get into those machines. You can travel, you can go do whatever you want. The world is your oyster right now. That's a beautiful thing about this industry. And the fact that we are in a labor shortage, you can go do whatever you want in this industry if you got the skills. But recognize you're going to spend some time, 2 to 5 years. I would say 2 on the conservative side, 5 on the I really want to get my stuff. I want to spend some time on a pipe crew. I want to spend some time on a road crew. I want to learn all of it as a laborer. Then you might spend 5 years as a laborer. But within 2 years, you ought to know everything you need to know that you can start working into a seat and start working on those skills. And once you really get those skills under your belt and you get the machine time under your belt, then yeah, you can go wherever you want. That is the beauty of doing this channel. If this all shuts down tomorrow and I can't make any videos, I'm broke, I can't do anything, because of the skill set that I have, I will have a job the following day. I can go down the road here to Dan's. They've got 2 subdivisions. I can walk right on that job site and I'll be in a machine by the end of the day. That's the beautiful thing of the labor shortage we're experiencing, is you can write your own ticket right. So anyway. Oh. Bacon. Yelling is for safety. If someone is screaming all the time, then there's no emergency. It's the boy who cried wolf. 100%. And that's, yeah, yelling should be reserved for like crisis mode, right? It's not the general accepted form of communication. And I worked for a foreman when I was with Dan's, that was the form of communication, was just screaming at people. No one likes working for you, and all you're doing is wearing your guys down. No one was happy on our crew. Our entire crew was miserable because we had a foreman that was an ass, and all he did was scream. So 100%. Jonathan, extremely grateful for the explanation. I'll show it to my friend so he isn't afraid of the whole urea thing. A D5K is a great dozer. When I get mine, I'll sometimes write you for tips. Jonathan, don't ever hesitate. Like, if you have questions, if your buddy has questions, I tell everybody, and this needs to continue to get preached to everybody that watches my channel. By the way, somebody draw me a line. We're like, by the time I get down to it, it'll definitely be time. Like, we're at 9 o'clock already. So draw me a line, guys. Anyway, back to your comment, Jonathan. Don't you, your friend, anybody watching this channel, don't hesitate to reach out. I talk to guys all the time on the phone, through email, through Instagram, through YouTube. I'm here. The reason I do this is not to make a shitload of money. The reason I do this is because I want to pass knowledge on to guys in the field. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You're not bothering me. It's not an inconvenience for me to step down from my YouTube throne and answer your call. I'm not on a YouTube throne. I'm freaking answering Brandon's phone call while I'm on a live stream, because that's the sort of relationship I want to have with my subscribers. I want to be here for you guys as a resource. Ask, talk to me, call me. I do not mind. I am here for you guys. So I appreciate the compliment and everything, but at the same time, like, that's what I'm here for, man, is to give you information. And if I don't know the answer, generally I can find someone in the industry that knows the answer, and I'll go do the legwork for you. Oh, Ryan, I'm not saying we should go around yelling, cussing, and fighting all the time, but on the flip side, sometimes you need to get a message across quickly. 100%. That's the beautiful. So my mom is a prime example of, why do you have to use that language? Oh my gosh, that is so terrible. Because beautiful, flowery words don't get the message across like a handful of loud, swearing words. That's it. We use our swear words, and they are effective. They add color and meaning and power to the words that we're saying. Swear words are excellent, and so is yelling in the right context. But when you only speak one volume and you only know how to swear, okay, you lose all your power there. Shane, as a lead guy, I take time to talk to the guys and let them open up. I let them know I'm here to help with anything, work or home. That's great, Shane. I mean, that's what the industry needs, 100%. Sean, mostly around here, it's owners of companies killing themselves, can't take it anymore. That is one thing. I get questions all the time about starting your own business, and I don't think anyone really understands how stressful and difficult and hard it is to run a business. It is so much above and beyond just working for someone. It is really hard. Ryan, that's one other thing I like about the company I'm at. Most crews are only 5 to 6 people, and there's 50-ish people overall. That's awesome. That's the perfect, in my mind, that's the perfect company to work for. Relatively small crew sizes, relatively small company, but still at the same time, you're big enough, you're getting those bigger projects, 100%. Jackson, so is the guy that ran that construction worker over, is he in jail? Most likely not. And most likely he won't be in jail unless they find like negligence. Like if there was alcohol or drugs involved, he won't go to jail. That's part of the industry. Accidents happen, unfortunately, as sad as it is. Accidents happen in this industry. It's a dangerous job, and that's why in my videos multiple times I've talked about, you have to, anytime you're on the ground on a job site, you have to keep your head on a swivel. It just takes a second and it's over. We work around, and it's so easy to, Jackson, you're in the landscape field, in the lawn care field. I mean, think about those mowers you guys are running. You take it for granted that those are just lawnmowers, right? Everybody takes it for granted it's just a lawnmower. It's just a lawnmower until some kid goes running and slips, which, by the way, one of my old customers, when I was selling equipment, had this actually happen to his grandson. He was out mowing. His grandson came running down the hill, slipped at the last second, legs went under, whomp, knocked both legs off. The kid has no legs now. Like, your mowers are dangerous machines, but we all take it for granted because we're around it all day. It's the same with the loader, excavator, dozer, all of it. We take it for granted because we're around it every day, and so it doesn't feel that dangerous. It's a dangerous industry. You have to be paying attention all the time. It just takes a second. Oh, Jonathan, it's almost like needing to have the personality of a soldier. Like, to an extent, and in all honesty, that is why veterans make fantastic employees in the dirt industry. Not even just employees. They make great foremen, superintendents, or just employees. They're used to that rigid structure, working in extreme conditions, working extreme hours. They're used to getting yelled at and talked to in that way. Like, veterans make fantastic employees because of all of those things that we're used to. So Sean, yeah, Shane has Fatso baby Erwan. I don't even know if that's how you say that. Do I need a contractor's license to run my own excavation company? Totally depends on the scope of work you're doing. Doing driveways and culverts? Nope. You don't need anything. Start getting into water and sewer taps? 100%. You're going to need a certification for that. You want to start getting into some of these projects that require pulling permits? You may have to go get your builder's license. It just depends on where you're at with the local municipality. Best thing I'll say is go into your local municipality, tell them the sort of projects you're doing, and ask what sort of certifications you need, and they'll be able to tell you that. Dante. By the way, Fatso and Dante, haven't seen you guys. Thanks for hanging out in the live stream tonight. As the piston goes down, it sucks in the air. When the piston goes up, it pushes out the exhaust. There you go. He broke it down in a way that my brain would not allow me to. My God. It has valves. They ain't like regular valves. They're called revalves. And see, you guys, I knew you'd catch me. I knew you'd have my back on this. Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult, guys, when you got a whole freaking audience watching and you're trying to break down a 2-stroke engine on the fly. Sometimes your brain takes a shit on you. All right, I apologize. I thank you for having my back. Let's see here. Yeah, mechanics extraordinaire. Absolutely. You know me, mechanics. You know what? I built my kid's 4-wheeler out of a box. I feel, and with no instructions, because it didn't come with instructions, because I bought a cheap Chinese 4-wheeler, because I'm not gonna go spend a phenomenal amount of money on a 4-wheeler for a 7-year-old. And dadgummit, I built that thing with no instructions. And dude, I had a bag of bolts and nuts and washers, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, by God, we got her. We knocked it out. Here is a video. Well, Jackson, you didn't link to the video, so now none of us know. Jim, I didn't realize how stressful this work can be on people. I'm a software guy, and I always thought the grass was greener on the other side. What do you think encourages this environment? I don't know that anything like outright encourages it. I think it's more of, this is the way it's always been. The trades have always been a bunch of like like, we're tradesmen, right? We're the rough around the edges guys. We've never been caught up around feelings, and we've never been big on talking about things. And so I think it's more of just a generational thing, that this is just the way the industry is. And I think as we evolve as a society, as silly and liberal as it sounds, as we evolve as a society, I think the trades are one of the last industries to kind of recognize that we need to improve in this area. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. And we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. But it's just one of those things where these are, you know, it's a bunch of rough around the edges guys. We're used to going out there and working with our hands and sweating and swearing and cursing, and feelings are just something you throw to the side so that you can keep your head down and keep working. But over time, we've discovered as a society, and slowly we're discovering as a trade, that all of that stuff bottles up, and it does have a negative impact, to the point that people do kill themselves, to the point that it is detrimental to someone's mental health. And mental health does matter. It is important. It's just as important as your regular health. So we're slow to adopt. Sean, reed valves on the intake port side have let's see here, reed valves. The intake side port has reed valves, so the exhaust goes out the exhaust ports, not through the carburetor. There you go. And you guys are breaking it down. This is awesome. A lot of money in short timelines create a lot of stress, and that's the other part too, is this is naturally just a very, very stressful industry. We got a lot of stuff going on. It's very stressful. I have every intention on avoiding the apprenticeship like the plague, as you should, especially if you know what you're doing. By the way, I told you Timber Vixen is really beautiful. I wish I was that seatbelt. I know you do, Jackson. I know you do. Most guys do. Baking. Komatsu is Japanese. Thank you. Shuttle stick feels weirdly placed on the stick, but there's a little lunchbox space right behind it. Well, but the problem is that little, okay, let's be honest. Who in our industry has a little Ninja Turtles lunchbox that's going to fit in that lunchbox space that Komatsu has given you? That's my problem. Like, we're fat Americans, and my lunchbox, I don't even have it down here where I can go get it real quick. My lunchbox is a freaking tank because we're in the cab for 16 hours a day, right? So my little Ninja Turtle lunchbox that you gave me, this little, this square the size of my notepad here that I can put my Ninja Turtle lunchbox in and clip it in. Come on, man. I need the Fat America lunchbox, and I need you to designate a Fat America space in the cab so that I can pull out my fucking Big Mac for lunch or mid-morning snack, and then I can pull out my next meal for my afternoon snack. That's my problem. That's my problem. Anyway, Sean, how much am I paying anything? We're talking wages. Let's see here. Does that mean the contractors are pushing that stress downstream instead of pushing back and protecting their workers? Jim, great question. Yes, that's part of the problem. If you think about it, you know, corporate knows that we have a timeline that we have to absolutely meet in order to get bonuses. Everyone wants the bonuses because it's a lot of money. And if we go over, there's huge penalties, which no one wants. So automatically right off the get-go, you have a project manager and a superintendent that have a crap load of stress on their plate. And so what are they gonna do? Well, they're gonna drive the foreman that much harder, because by God, we're gonna hit those timelines, because everyone's gonna be upset if we don't get those bonuses, and we're gonna be screwed if we get hit with penalties. So all that pressure rolls downhill. Well, now your foreman feels all that pressure on his shoulders. So what does he do? He starts cracking the whip like crazy at his frontline guys. Absolutely. We got to work harder. We got to work faster. We got to stay later. We got to get this done. Why aren't you working faster? Come on, go. And now all of a sudden your frontline worker feels all of this pressure and this tension and it's all on my shoulders. Oh my God. So yes, really, that's what it boils down to, is that it just, what's the old saying? Shit always flows downhill. That's why it is what it is. So Tommy, man, guys, you guys, oh, you're so past the line. I'm sorry, I have to cut it off because we're already 15 minutes past 9. So here's the deal, Tommy, I have a couple videos. If you go to my channel, I have a couple videos specifically on how to read a laser and grade rod, how to convert between units. Do some homework on that. Go watch those videos and see if it helps it click. If it still doesn't click, email me. I'm sorry, I gotta put my hands down. The autofocus keeps focusing on my hand. Email me. I'm gonna throw my email in the comments here. So contact@dieselandironproductions.com. Email me if you have more questions after watching those. I am more than happy to work with you. I can set up some like basic worksheet exercises that we can work through to kind of get you familiar with a grade rod and, you know, going up and down the grade rod. We can absolutely work on that. I'm happy to do that. So I don't have time to answer that tonight, and I'm sorry, Tommy, but definitely reach out via email if you've got more questions. But the first thing is go to my channel and search for laser and grade rod, and you should have those videos pop up. So that being said, we're at our line. I apologize. I see you guys have been chatting away, and believe me, I would love to continue this because we're really rolling and everything, but Mama's upstairs. It's her time. It's time for us to go watch a show. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. This is fun. We'll catch you guys next weekend on our next live stream. Yeah. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you next weekend.